Hey, welcome back. You're watching Liquid Lunch on Newsmax TV. I'm John Tobacco. We're coming today live as we do every single day, noon to 2 Eastern, from our downtown Liquid Lunch outpost here on Broadway. Yes, Mom, I'm still on Broadway. Before getting into this next segment, getting into all the fear, fright, and hysteria about the coronavirus, let's take a look down the street. That should make you feel a little better. Over at the New York Stock Exchange, Dow up almost 800 as we speak, definitely in recovery mode. Last week, the bears were in full attack mode, the bulls were on the run, and the markets were tanking, giving up nearly all the gains throughout 2019 in just a week. But on the comeback trail today, so stay calm. Everything should be good. Bitcoin up 300. Looks like there might be some stabilization here in the high 8,000, 9,000 range. We'll keep you posted on that. But my good friend joins me again, Dr. John Huber. He's a psychologist, chairman for Mainstream Mental Health. And Dr. J, thank you so much for joining us again. We may have to keep you here if this corona thing keeps going.
Absolutely.
I got to tell you, because so you know my remedy, and I've been telling my viewers, and so far from what I hear, it's like 100% certain, okay? 1 Corona beer per day, okay? That helps with the anxiety. And then you got to use the Lysol dual action wipes. You got to swab yourself, wipe everything down. It fights the human. No one in my audience that I know of has got the corona yet.
Good.
Could this be like a placebo effect?
No, actually, I think that's a good thing. I would add one other thing is that you wash your hands regularly. You know, don't wash them so much you get sores and stuff. But you know, say the ABCs twice and dry your hands good, and you're fine.
Wow. So right here in New York, we apparently have our first case of the coronavirus. It's been reported, and this is a big metropolis here. Take a look at what Governor Cuomo had to say, and I'd like to get your thoughts on how people should react to this.
We mentioned that New York City has its first case of the coronavirus. It is a woman in her 30s who recently returned from Iran and who is now in isolation. New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo joins us with more on this story. Governor, good morning to you. You know, a lot of New Yorkers woke up. A lot of New Yorkers, certainly here in the city, woke up and said, "Oh no, here we go." What can you tell us about this latest case? What do we know?
Yeah. Well, good morning to all of you, and you, Gail. First, New Yorkers should not be surprised. We've been talking about this for days. I said it's not a question of if, but when. You see the number of cases around the globe. New York is the gateway to the world, so that's not shocking. And we've been preparing for it, and we've been truly diligent on this issue. This is somewhat of a unique case because this woman was a healthcare worker.
So, Doc, pretty, to me, he exuded some confidence there. Hey, we're prepared. We've been talking about this. Not to worry. Does that make people feel better?
Well, yeah, it does make people feel better, and I think it's exactly what needs to be happening because, you know, as we talked about it last week, it is a modified version of a virus, the coronavirus. Deficiency or aged or very young and have a weak immune system, it's going to be like a bad cold. And, you know, don't be stupid about it. Keep your hands washed, wipe things down like that. And I think he's right. We're gonna kick this out. I think it's going to be a big non-issue. And I'm predicting by the end of this year, we're going to be looking at 30,000 in the stock market.
Wow. Now I'm ringing the bell because me and the doc are in agreement on that. I think 30,000 is right around the corner. I feel like the media is helping this thing frighten people a little more. And Mike Pence kind of came out and said a few things about the Democratic criticism of the response, which all this plays into it. Take a look at what Mike Pence had to say.
What facts are there that Democrats are doing this?
Well,
it seems like people are asking questions and they're concerned about the virus. This implies some sort of political motivation, which is kind of gross.
Well, I will tell you, there's been a lot of irresponsible rhetoric among Democrats and commentators.
Who is this?
On the left.
Name some names, sir.
Well,
because this is it just feels like gaslighting. Please name some names. We're all big. Well, we're all big people here. Name some names.
There was a column in the New York Times that by a prominent liberal journalist that said we should rename name it the Trump virus.
Okay, does that apply to all people?
So that the president would be blamed. Chuck, this virus began in China.
Why take this?
The
Here's what I ask you. This doesn't help.
This
does not help
decisive action to protect the American people. And when you see voices on our side pushing back on outrageous and irresponsible rhetoric on the other side, I think that's important.
Do you think this rhetoric from your side helps?
I never begrudge people responding to unwarranted, unjustified attacks. But I promise you, we're going to continue to focus on the mission the president's given this task force and given this government. And that is, we're going to bring the full resources of the federal government to bear.
I don't know what land Chuck Todd lives in, but he's asking him, name names. Who? You, Chuck. You and your whole land of loonies over there in MSNBC. You're the one creating the fear, fright, and hysteria. Who? Are there no mirrors over there at MSNBC? Obviously not with that hairdo Chuck's rocking. And, I'm no one to talk, Doc. I put the rhino shield and everything to get my hair back.
Exactly.
I don't know what this guy Chuck Todd's doing with himself.
Well, and then look, they're saying that Trump cut CDC funding, and then that turned out this weekend in the fact check where they say he never did, but it showed up, on Sunday morning when nobody's watching the news and nobody's talking about it today. And they still have this belief that he cut CDC.
My last thing, and this is a subject that's near and dear to my heart. There's new research out that psychedelic mushrooms, magic mushrooms, actually have a medicinal or at least a therapeutic effect on people with depression and anxiety.
Absolutely. And the psychedelics, it also carries over with the psychedelic effects you get from ketamine, which, my practice, we work with a physician, we do ketamine-assisted psychotherapy. It's a little harder right now. We don't have the legal means to do the psilocybin, but the research is there. There's a lot of research going on in Nevada and from Johns Hopkins and leading institutions, and they're showing that psychedelic mushrooms, you can give somebody a dose, and it's up to 6 months before they actually start reporting depressive symptoms again. So essentially, you could do 2 doses a year for that person, assuming the dosage gets titrated appropriately, and the person goes on and has a decent life.
So now, where do we, asking for a friend, of course, where do we get these magic mushrooms? Are they, regulated by the FDA? Do we buy them over the counter? We grow them?
My understanding, most states, because they grow wild, in Texas, cow patties, they grow right out of cow patties. So, the thing is they get you for distributing them, not necessarily for having possession. So if you have a couple mushrooms, and you got to check your local listings and things like that. But you can't, I couldn't say, have a stockpile. Here, I'm going to charge you for these, because now I'm selling a
But if this is
substance.
something that you just happen to be walking along in some cow pasture in Texas and you see these little psilocybin mushrooms growing there, and you pick them up and you take some home with you and you get pulled over, you're not going to get arrested for this, as long as you're not selling.
You should ask your attorney. Always bounce things off your attorney. I'm not a legal expert as far as that's concerned. I know, though, that picking mushrooms is a dangerous thing because there are some that are extremely toxic. So you probably really shouldn't be doing that, because you could end up grabbing the wrong kind of toxic mushrooms and kill yourself.
So in the meantime, until there's a little more formal process around this,
Absolutely.
we may want to go to mainstream mental health and get a little dose of Special K. That might be better.
Well, yeah, it's actually the clinic is called Clarisana with a K.
Got it.
And we were out of Austin, San Antonio, and Denver.
And the ketamine has its own effects on helping you with anxiety and stuff.
Absolutely. It's good for depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, actually pain management. It works really good for chronic pain. It's not an opiate. Opiates just make you not care about it.
All righty. That's our man. That's our in-house psychologist. And boy, do I need it. I can tell you that. Dr. John Hubert, thank you so much. Thank you for being there. But do not go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more Liquid Lunch just for you. Crack open a cold one, back in 2.